Whether they're sites of worship, popular tourist attractions, or luxury apartments, there are plenty of historic landmarks still flourishing today. Surely the world's most famous stone circle, Stonehenge, was built around 2500 BC. The smaller stones were transported from West Wales, we're still not 100% sure how, while the larger ones were quarried closer to the site. Visitors can still get relatively close to the stones, and those who follow pagan, druid and earth-centered belief systems flock here in full regalia to mark the summer and winter solstices. Built between the 9th and 7th centuries BC, the fortress of Van overlooks the modern-day city of the same name and the ruins of ancient Tushpa, former capital of the Eurasian kingdom. Skilled Eurasian architects used unusually advanced mathematical techniques to construct the castle, mostly out of rubble stone, mud brick and cut stone materials. There are also 8 rock-cut tombs with 29-foot-tall chambers. You can still step inside the citadel today, where you'll pass a ruined mosque and arch-roofed building en route to the summit. The Caravan Bridge in Izmir, historically known as Smyrna, dates back almost 3 millennia. Originally built in 850 BC for camel trains entering the town, this simple yet sturdy bridge is still crossed by locals in what is now one of Turkey's most populous cities. A tough slab stone arch, it is recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the oldest datable bridge in the world that's still in use. First built around 300 BC, the Sanchi Stupa was remodeled to twice its previous size around 185 BC, reusing giant stone slabs to form a flattened dome. Now standing 71 feet tall, it's one of the oldest surviving stone structures in India. Despite being abandoned for some 600 years, the site was restored by pilgrims in the 20th century and now fields a steady stream of Buddhist worshippers. This pedestrian walkway is the oldest bridge in Rome, and amazingly, it hasn't changed much since it was built in 62 BC. The Ponte Fabricio, or Pons Fabricius, was constructed to replace a wooden bridge destroyed by fire and also goes by the name Ponte dei Quattro Capi, or Bridge of the Four Heads, after 2 two-faced statues were added during later restoration works. At 200 feet long, it connects Rome's mainland to Tiber Island and is just as beautiful today as it ever was. When the Theatre of Marcellus opened in 13 BC, it was the largest theatre in the whole Roman Empire. Built using brick, concrete and tuff, a light, porous rock, and finished with travertine or limestone, it hosted up to 40,000 spectators for performances of drama, music and dance. The theatre has changed a lot since its ancient heyday. The upper floors, for instance, have been converted into high-end apartments, but it still hosts open-air classical concerts during long summer evenings. With 120 arches, 2 tiers of seating and an elaborate trapdoor system under the stage, Arles Amphitheatre is the largest Roman monument in France. Inspired by Rome's Colosseum, the theatre was built between AD 80 and 90 and could seat up to 20,000 spectators for gladiatorial battles and chariot races. During the Middle Ages, it was converted into a fortress with 4 towers that protected some 200 houses. But since the 19th century, it's largely been used as a bullfighting arena, although historic reconstructions, concerts and shows also take place. The Tower of Hercules is thought to be the oldest lighthouse in the world, probably built during the reign of Trajan in AD 98 to 117, and is the only Roman-era lighthouse still in use today. The landmark on the shores of La Coruna is exceptionally well preserved, and consists of a 4-sided tower topped by 2 smaller octagonal towers that were added in the 18th century. At 180 feet, it is still one of the tallest lighthouses in Spain, its beauty heightened by the surrounding craggy cliffs. Just a couple of miles from Mérida in Spain, Proserpina Dam was constructed during Roman rule around AD 100, with various other sections added over the years. Today, the 1,394-foot-long structure makes for a scenic stroll or picnic spot, and the accompanying reservoir is still used to irrigate farms. For centuries, it was known as Albuera de Caria, but the name was changed in the 19th century following the discovery of an ancient inscription at the site. A tantalizing insight into Roman gossip, the writer called on the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to punish those that had stolen some drying laundry. Liking this? Click the like button above and click the follow button above for more great stories from Love Exploring. This octagonal temple is one of the oldest Hindu temples in the world that's still in use. The Mundeshwari Devi temple in Bihar is dedicated to Shiva and Shakti, and worshippers still flock to the site, especially for the popular Rama Navami and Shivratri festivals. Perched on the Mundeshwari hills, the stone temple dates to AD 108, though some claim AD 105. Its doors and statues adorn alternating walls. The Pantheon is a case of third time lucky. Both of the building's predecessors burned down, and the one you see today was built around AD 125 by the Roman Emperor Hadrian. Its original purpose is still a bit murky, but since the 7th century it's been used as a Catholic church. The Basilica Santa Maria ad Martiris continues to host Mass and special events. Step inside the rotunda and marvel at the washes of purple, red and yellow adorning the floors, columns and architectural details. But the real showstopper is the skylight-like oculus at the center of the dome, which stretches 30 feet wide. Completed in AD 139, the Mausoleum of Hadrian marked the final resting place of the famous Roman emperor, his family and a few of his successors. Also known as Castel Sant'Angelo, the cylindrical edifice later found work as a fortress, prison and residence for the Pope, but today is a fascinating museum filled with exhibits documenting the building's diverse history. Visitors can browse 5 floors of frescoes, weapons and sculptures. Shibam was, depending on your definitions, the world's first skyscraper city. In AD 300, the desert town built 500 mud brick towers as protection from flooding and as a vantage point to spot incoming attackers, which has since earned it the nickname the Chicago of the desert. One of the earliest examples of multi-story vertical structures on Earth. Today, the town is built of the same mud brick, and buildings reach up to 11 stories with heights of 100 feet. At 108 feet high, 90 feet wide and 220 feet long, the Basilica of Constantine, also called the Aula Palatina, is the largest surviving single room from the ancient world, and it isn't even supported by columns. The former throne room was built around AD 310 for Roman Emperor Constantine before becoming a bishop's residence and eventually a church. Christian tradition holds that the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem marks the birthplace of Jesus and is the oldest church in the Holy Land. It was first built by the Roman Emperor Constantine I around AD 326, while the current structure dates from the reign of Byzantine Emperor Justinian in the 6th century. The church remains one of the holiest sites in Christendom, with pilgrims flocking to worship at the silver star that marks the birthplace of their Messiah. It was made a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2012, the first site in Palestine to receive the status after it was granted UNESCO membership. The Santa Sabina is a Christian church built in the 5th century AD that's still open to tourists and worshippers. In fact, it's a popular place to get hitched. The original layout and style is well preserved, including a flank of elaborate Corinthian colonnades, a single remaining mosaic, and rows of selenite, not glass, windows. These surviving elements combine to give us a rare window into 5th century worship and architecture. With inscriptions dating back to AD 464, this UNESCO World Heritage listed temple is the oldest Hindu temple still in use in the Kathmandu Valley. It is dedicated to Lord Vishnu and sits high on a hill 7 miles east of Kathmandu. The temple has seen its fair share of trials and tribulations. Built above and below ground, the Hagia Sophia is an icon of Istanbul. At its highest point, the building reaches 180 feet, and its domes, walls and minarets encapsulate the city's complex history, complete with both Islamic inscriptions and Christian mosaics. The structure started life in the 6th century AD as a Christian church before it was converted into a mosque in the 15th century following Ottoman conquest. In 1934 it became a museum, but it was controversially stripped of its museum status in 2020 and is now officially a mosque once again. Built in the 6th century AD, St. Catherine's Monastery sits at the foot of Mount Sinai, where, according to the Old Testament, Moses received the 10 Commandments from God. Designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2002, it's the region's most important religious site for Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, and is thought to be the world's oldest, continuously inhabited Christian monastery. You can still check out the original external walls and central church. Hindus, Buddhists and Jains have worshipped at the magnificent Ellora caves for millennia. Carved from volcanic basalt stone, the sprawling site was formed somewhere between AD 550 and 750 and is home to Kailasa Temple, the largest rock-cut monument in the world. It's also a popular tourist attraction. Visitors can walk through selected caves and take in the intricate details of the reliefs, monoliths and statues. Erected during the Asuka period, from AD 552 to 645, to enshrine sacred relics of the Buddha, the 5-storied pagoda is one of the oldest surviving wooden towers in the world. It stands 108 feet tall, with a central pillar made from a single Japanese cypress tree felled in 594. The pagoda sits within the Horyuji Temple complex in Ikaruga, one of the first UNESCO-listed sites in Japan, and is just 7 miles from central Nara. Note the metal scythes attached to the roof. Among the oldest places of worship in the entire Islamic world, the Great Mosque in the ancient city of Kairouan, also known as the Mosque of Uqba, is one of the holiest sites in Islam. Established around AD 670, the mosque's first-of-its-kind architecture had a huge influence on subsequent mosques in the Maghreb region, which is northwest Africa. Rebuilt in the 8th and 9th centuries, with final additions in the 13th century, the finished result is a dazzling blend of Islamic, Roman and Byzantine architectural styles. The mosque is still a place of worship. Visitors are welcome to look inside, but non-Muslims aren't permitted in the prayer room. Nanshan Temple is believed to be the oldest extant wooden structure in China. This simple yet graceful temple was built during the Tang dynasty. An epitaph dates it to AD 782, and it survived the centuries in part thanks to its remote mountain location. Its symmetrical design, along with the clay Buddhist sculptures and central statue of Sakyamuni, the founder of Buddhism, inside the main hall, is typical of this golden age of temple building. Probably the oldest inhabited wooden house in the world, Kirk Juborgardur, a farmhouse on the largest farm in the Faroes, dates back to roughly AD 1100. With no forests on the island, wood is extremely valuable, and legend holds that the timber came from Norwegian driftwood. Today, the farmhouse serves as a museum and still houses the 17th generation of the Patterson family, who have occupied the house since 1550. Perched atop a 367-foot-high mesa in New Mexico, the Native American settlement of Acoma Pueblo is the oldest continuously inhabited community in North America. This clifftop pueblo was founded in the early 12th century, and while only 50 or so tribal elders live here year-round now, many others return for festivals and sacred ceremonies. For a small fee, visitors can check out the largely original streetscape, the later Spanish architecture and the flat-topped adobes. The Sky City Cultural Center and Haku Museum are open from Wednesday to Sunday for those wanting to learn more about this historic site. Painstakingly carved out of solid basalt, Lalibella's 11 rock-hewn medieval churches are widely thought to date from King Lalibella's reign from 1181 to 1221 AD. The monolithic buildings include chiseled doors, windows and columns, alongside an extensive network of subterranean passageways and catacombs. The churches at this staggering site are still used for daily worship and special ceremonies, while larger crowds flock here at Christmas and Easter, when white-robed pilgrims crowd the courtyard.